teams are ready to play football for the state championship.
St. Ignatius is Pickens is coveted by virtually every passing college in the land.
And he's a great one. He can throw the ball in any direction and attack the field both long and short. They built an offense around Joe to highlight his skills, and for him to be successful today, they're going to have to put it all together, running game and passing game, against a little bit of an undersized defensive line for Moeller.
The weather is in their favor for a passing game, and one of Pickens' targets is John Jakin, big Husky tight end, also a major college prospect.
And he can go up and get the pass that's always not perfectly thrown. Jakin has made the circus catch all year, and when they get around that goal line, look for him to lay it up in the air and see if Jakin can steal him 6 points.
And Gary, you mentioned the defensive line challenge for Moeller. They will be giving up 60 pounds per man to the St. Ignatius offensive line. Enormous differential.
What they're going to have to do is try to get in the gaps and stunt and slant and try to keep the big offensive line of Ignatius off balance with different slants to keep them off balance, and the blocking scheme's a little bit confused.
Now, Moeller's record is 11-2. Moeller is a quick team, not a big team, and they are led by Adam Heisdu, their quarterback, and a very talented tailback in Carlos Collins.
Well, they got to build their offense around a lot of people. They don't have the great star that everybody has to stop. It's a more balanced offense, and Collins and Heisdu have to spread the field out, make the Ignatius defense cover not only the 100 yards of the length of the field, but the 53 yards in width, and use all their weapons. And that's the real challenge for Moeller, to keep that Ignatius offense off the field.
Traditionally, this big school finale has been a low-scoring affair. There is some thought this year that with two wide-open and very high-powered offenses, both averaging more than 30 a game, that we may be in for a shootout. The weather's going to cooperate, and we will be back with the opening kick after this.
High school football. Every kid that ever played in a game had the dream of becoming a professional. Some continue to chase that dream, but for most, high school is the big league, where scoring the winning touchdown becomes the memory of a lifetime. Experience the pageantry and excitement as Sports Channel presents the State High School Football Championships. Watch as these kids put the pride of their schools on the line. See exclusive coverage of Division II finals, Monday, November 27th at 6, only on Sports Channel. Coming off their best season in NBA history, the Cleveland Cavs are in the spotlight, and Sports Channel's got them. From opening night tip-off, Sports Channel brings you 35 home and away games, plus the playoffs. Watch Lenny Wilkins and the Cavs as they match up with some of the toughest competition in the NBA. Wednesday, November 29th, the Cavs take on the Philadelphia 76ers, live at 7:30 on Sports Channel. Cleveland Crunch returns the major indoor soccer league to Ohio, and Sports Channel has all the action. From opening kickoff to the final shot on goal, Sports Channel brings you the explosive play of forward head coach Kai Hoskevy, along with MISL veterans Dennis Mepham, Bernie James, Mike Sweeney, Benny Doggle, Hector Marinaro, Charlie Green, and the #1 college draft pick Simon Keith. Hear the roar of the crowd as the Cleveland Crunch take the field. Friday, December 1st, the Baltimore Blast take on the Crunch, live at 8 on Sports Channel.
This is the brain activity of a normal 14-year-old. This is the brain activity of a 14-year-old after smoking marijuana. If you use pot, you're not using your brain.
St. Ignatius is on the far side of the field, huddling around its coach, Chuck Kyle. Moeller very deliberately walking out of its locker room and preparing now to come to the near side, where our sideline reporter, Randy Reinhardt, is standing by. Randy.
Thank you very much, Chuck. I talked to both head coaches. I talked to Chuck Kyle from St. Ignatius. Keys in this contest, well, he said offensively, they're going to try to mix the pass and the run. They'll try to use the size advantage of the Wildcats on the offensive line against the Moeller defensive line. defensively, Moeller's offensive line is well schooled, and their offense tries to spread you out. He's concerned about that. Then I talked to Crusaders head coach Steve Clowney, and he said, well, Moeller's offense is going to try to control the ball. They know St. Ignatius has a great defense, but they know that the St. Ignatius offense is even better, so that's the key for them. Defensively, he says, hey, our team has to bend, but they can't break. And Chuck, ironically, we've been talking high scoring, two teams that average 30 points or more a game. When I talked to both coaches, the last two words they said when they described this game was low scoring. Chuck?
Blue skies over Columbus. Temperature at game time, 62 degrees. Winds are very mild and should not be a factor. Both these teams have played more games this season on artificial than natural grass, so they will be quite comfortable in the super turf here in Ohio Stadium.
I think all these players have practiced on it repeatedly. They've got into this by winning one tough game by Ignatius over Euclid, where they had to come from behind in the fourth quarter. A lot of these players are used to big games. Nothing here today will surprise them. It's playing for the state championship. Also, the added #1 billing by St. Ignatius in the USA Today. So there's a lot of things riding on these games, but these kids have grown up 7th, 8th, 9th grade watching big games, playing in big games. This will be nothing new to them.
School colors for both are blue and gold. The home team is Moeller and is in the all blue. St. Ignatius is in the white jerseys today. State championship, big school, state of Ohio. Moeller will have Doug Burwinkle, a senior, kicking off to Peter Fitzpatrick and Tim Kennedy, and we are underway. And it will be Kennedy at the 3. Heading to the right behind blocking at the 15 and dropped hard at the 17. And on comes an offense for St. Ignatius that is averaging 32 points per game in the regular season and 30 in the playoff. They didn't miss a beat. Tackle on the kickoff by Moeller's Bob Lance. There is an offensive line that is going to average 60 pounds per man more than the defensive line of Moeller. The quarterback is senior Joe Pickens, 6'4", pure drop-back passer. Running backs are Peter Fitzpatrick and Tim Kennedy. You see a lot of motion out of this team, and there goes Mark Ruddy in motion right to left, and it will be the tailback. Peter Fitzpatrick over left tackle to the 20. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Tackle by inside linebacker Jason Neck, a junior.
Chuck, Ignatius comes out the first play in an unbalanced line, trying to handle that shifting and stunning slant by overpowering them from one side to the other. Be interesting in how they want to set up this running game with their big size advantage up front.
From their own 20, 2nd and 7. Wide receivers each direction. John Jacobs, a tight end, flip-flops from left to right. Split backfield for one of the best passers in the state of Ohio. In fact, he was first-team All-State this year, but Pickens misses Mark Ruddy. It will be 3rd and 7 for St. Ignatius.
Pickens attempted to throw a short pass into a rolled-up zone coverage. I think that's what they're going to try to show Pickens all day. They're going to try to put a hit on those outside receivers to keep them from getting a free release into the secondary. He's going to have to look to his tight end and backs to throw the ball if that's the case early in the game.
Pickens completed 50% of his passes this year, 17 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. That's a lot of interceptions. 3rd and 7, first possession of the game, backpedaling and pumping, and now going long, and he has his man open, and it is Ruddy at the 45-40, and he is going to outrun the defense. Hands-eye, touchdown, St. Ignatius, first possession of the game. Ken Darby unable to catch up. It is an 80-yard strike from Joe Pickens, his 18th touchdown pass of the year.
It was a play off of a set-up screen pass where linemen will come out and they give him a screen look. It's a play that Ignatius features all year, and then a hitch and go by the receiver. Joe gives him the pump fake to set it up, and then it's nothing but a complete throw. He catches it on stride, and there's nobody going to catch him.
He sold the fake well.
And the play was conceived well, with the lineman helping in the fake and the back coming out in the fake. It's just not the quarterback and the receiver. It has to be a whole system, and it was set up beautifully.
Ignatius senior Graham Hearns will be kicking. Good snap and placement, and a quick strike by St. Ignatius. 10:36 left in the first quarter in Columbus. The count, St. Ignatius 7, Moeller nothing. has said it this way about this game. He considers the key keeping his offense on the field in order to keep the very high-powered offense of St. Ignatius off the field. We just saw exactly what he was talking about.
Well, Chuck, they better keep Ignatius' offense on the field a little longer than 3 plays and a touchdown next time. The key to their defense, and all their coaches talked to me before the game about it, was they're going to have to make Ignatius go the long way to earn their 6 points. That's just too devastating to a football team that came into the game a little bit short on talent compared to this powerful Ignatius team. If they're able to throw the ball deep and then overpower them with the running game, it's going to be a long afternoon for this Moeller defense.
Graham Hearns, who just kicked the point after, number 51, will be kicking to the starting running back for Moeller, Carlos Collins, only a junior, and also Tony Walker. With wind at his back, it's going to be a short chip shot. And it will be Walker letting it bounce and struggling, finally getting into the 10 and the 15, and he is covered well at the 17 by St. Ignatius. Tackle by Brian Spear of St. Ignatius.
Well, this will be a key series here, Chuck. Can they make a couple first downs and keep their stunned defense give them time to regroup? They're going to spread the field with their wide formations, and you'll see all types of bootlegs and different plays off of this wide formation.
The single setback is Carlos Collins. In motion is Chris Asbach, and it will be Collins. Good blocking on the left side as he crosses the 20 to about the 23. Gain of 5, 2nd and 5 for Moeller.
It's something, a new wrinkle that they showed. They haven't shown much motion, the Cincinnati Moeller offense, and when they talked before the game, they said they might use to try a little bit to give a little bit of different look to the Ignatius defense. That was successful, running back to that lone tight end by putting a man in motion and overloading that side.
Wide side of the field is right, and to that side go 3 wide receivers. Matt Burrell, Keith Valerius, and again the in motion goes Asbach back to the short side. Option. Heisdu is going to pitch. Collins finds the sideline open, crosses the 35, and is bumped out at the 39. It'll be a first down for Moeller after a gain of about 15 as they now step back to, I think, the 38.
Heisdu came down on the option, made the end man to the line of scrimmage commit, waited and waited, and then pitched. He blocks the man by waiting to pitch that long, and the man that tackles him. And that's what enabled Carlos Carson to turn that corner and pick up the first down.
1,300 yards rushing this season for Carlos Collins. Again, he has the single setback. And he'll go again. They're favoring that left side, and there's the reason why. 45, 50, down to the 45 of St. Ignatius. Good blocking by the left side. Paul Berry, the tackle. Keith Fulmer, the guard.
Well, this is a new wrinkle for the Moeller offense, this short motion, and it's given the Ignatius defense a little bit of problem right now. They're running back to the lone tight end. This is a little counter trap. 2 offside linemen are pulling. They fit the blocks, and that's easy running. That's a little bit too easy. Ignatius is going to have to adjust to that. 17 yards for Collins. 1st and 10, spotted at the 44 of St. Ignatius. Heisdu, good runner and passer. They're apparently, Gary, just going to wait until St. Ignatius stops the run before they get cute. Well, that's the whole idea. It accomplishes 2 things. Right now, they're picking up positive yardage and also keeping that explosive offense of Ignatius off the field. That was a short trap inside, and they'll be satisfied with that. It wasn't exactly what they expected, but 2 or 3 yards is not a bad play.
Chuck Kyle. He was a tailback and a co-captain at St. Ignatius in 1968 when Ignatius went unbeaten. Back then there was no state playoff. 2nd and 7. Collins again to the 39. Gain of 2. It'll be 3rd and 5. Tackled by outside linebacker Ryan Spicer, a senior who, like father and like son, is playing. His dad Bob played there.
Ingram also fit in on that tackle. Ingram, extremely quick linebacker, can kind of blow those running plays up before they get started, especially on those slow developing counter trap plays.
Perhaps a passing situation, the first of the game for Moeller, which trails 7-0. We're midway through the first period. Heisdu misses his tight end, Joe Curran, a big 6'5" senior, and it will be 4th.
He had him wide open and just a little high with that pass. And to overthrow that guy, you got to be a little high because he's the big man on the field for Cincinnati Moeller. They had a well-conceived play there and had the man open. Ignatius playing man-to-man coverage. Somebody missed the sign.
Awkward spot on the field, Gary. You have to punt, but it's only a pooch punt, and you're a bit long for a field goal.
Well, that at least force Ignatius to take a long trip for 6 points this way.
Doug Burwinkle is going to go for the right corner, get a nice roll. This is going to be a good punt. It'll roll out at the 13. So after a possession each, St. Ignatius leads Moeller 7-0. We are in the first quarter in Ohio Stadium, and we'll be back. Visiting white jerseys leads Moeller 7-0. Each team has had a possession, and here is quarterback Joe Pickens from the 13, and he is going to give it to his tailback Fitzpatrick, who will cross the 15 and get to the 16.
Chris Wiles really filled that hole really well that time. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have those stunning linebackers in that 4-4 set stop that running game. The only problem, there's only 3 defensive backs on the field for Moeller. With the type of a passing attack that Ignatius has, you have to wonder if they can hold up.
2nd and 7. This is an offense that has 6 starters back from a year ago. And it's a complicated offense because of that experience. It gave the coach a bit of a luxury. Pickens in trouble, gets the pass off, just dumping it. Incomplete, and it will be 3rd and 7 for St. Ignatius.
They had Joe faking and rolling out that time, and he actually rolled right into a man who was blocked pretty well. I don't know if that was designed that way, but it seemed like Joe came out a little too far. You see him, and he has the block fit real well, and he just kind of runs into the man after he's been blocked. He could have stayed in the pocket, I think, and been more successful.
Let's go down to the sidelines now. Randy Reinhardt is with Ohio State coach John Cooper. Randy?
And John is back watching the last game on artificial turf here at Ohio Stadium. How's it feel, Coach?
Well, it's going, you know, it feels good watching this great high school teams play, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to miss playing on this artificial surface here.
You love the natural grass, don't you?
The game of football should be played on a grass field, Randy, so obviously I'm very happy. This will be the last game played on this.
Chuck, back up to you.
Pickens is down at the 15, stopped by a blitzing Moeller defense. Todd Illia, defensive end, gets the first hit. St. Ignatius must punt.
Well, that'll raise the spirits of this football team, this shocked football team that Moeller had that big play against them. They played good defense that series. They're going to get the ball now in really good field position and maybe tighten up this game a little bit.
Punting will be Pat Friend. He averaged only 30 yards per kick. Back deep are Ardell Barkley and Chris Wakey. And Moeller will go for the return. Low knuckleball that bounces at the 39. And Moeller's going to lay off. Good roll for St. Ignatius. And it will stop at the Moeller 44.
Chuck, I think Moeller's got to move up a little bit. Ignatius has that poor punting average, and on AstroTurf, they can't have that ball roll 15 yards like that. They got to get every inch they can of offense, and they can't afford to have that ball rolling on the turf.
7-0. The Wildcats of Ignatius lead the Crusaders of Moeller.
You know, Chuck, they're not good at punting. They don't have a lot of opportunities to punt. This is the offense they have.
That's what happens when you average more than 30 a game. Again, wide receivers each direction. That is Asbach in motion to the left and leading the play for Carlos Collins, but the defense of Ignatius is up to the task.
A lot of defeated blocks on that play. Really nowhere to run. It was just a straight blocking, and right along the line, everybody's defeating their man for Ignatius, and that's the coach's nightmare right there.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8 for Moeller. Coach Steve Clowney says the strength of our Moeller offense is our balance of run and pass. Versatile, we can do a lot. There will be a lot of variety for the defense of Ignatius. Heisdu snaps, nice looking pass at midfield, complete to Keith Valerius, one of his talented wide receivers, a 6-foot senior.
It's a pass for about a 6-yard gain that time. Thrown very sharply by Heisdu. Heisdu, a great baseball player, got that quick release. He can let the ball go before you can even move as a secondary. They're playing man-to-man coverage, and they're going to have to loosen up that Ignatius team by with a little bit of passing game today.
Yeah, Heisdu is actually a more celebrated college prospect in baseball than he is in football. He probably will play the spring sport when he goes to college. 3rd down and 3 from the 49 of Ignatius, which is going to blitz. But they pass out of it. It's complete to Collins and breaks between 2 defensemen and is going to be just short of a 1st down. It'll be spotted at the 47. Ignatius needs to get to the 46. tackle by cornerback Tom Stringer and defensive end Mike Zadanek.
Chuck, a design play, a quick screen with a lineman pulling out. That's why the blitzing linebacker had a free run on Heisdu. Heisdu would have loved to hold on to that ball a little longer, but the blitz interrupted the play.
Doug Burwinkle to kick. Back deep is Fitzpatrick and Ruddy. Fitzpatrick will fair catch a low spiral at the 14.
Burwinkle's punt has been
4:11 remaining in the first period. 7-0 lead for St. Ignatius.
Ignatius will, I think, this time come out and try to run the ball strong at this Moeller front 8, and if they have some success, then it'll open up the passing game again. Ignatius is just outweighing these people by 60 pounds a man. They should use it a little bit. There you see the all Ohio players, 5 of them from Ignatius, 1 second-team player, Jeff Crable from Moeller.
AP team just announced last week. Joe Pickens, voted the best quarterback in the state, has Pat Friend wide one direction and Mark Ruddy the other.
There it is, running right at him.
Straight up the gut. Defense is ready. Fullback Tim Kennedy, who's a two-way player. He also plays outside linebacker for the Ignatius defense. Gets only 2. It will be 2nd and 8.
If Pickens is like any other quarterback I know, his mouth has got to be watering, looking up and seeing only 3 defensive backs on the football field. I'm sure he'd like to throw 100% of the time against this defense.
Joe Pickens' final choice of colleges: Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, Illinois, Stanford, West Virginia. He'll start visiting schools next week. Wide open at the 25, at the 30. John Jakin is driven into the Moeller bench at the 40. Good gain of 23 yards, tackled by Ardell Barkley of Moeller.
What's so impressive with Pickens is he delivers the ball on the mark. He catches his receiver, throws the ball to him, and he catches it on the run, and that's how you develop the big plays. A crossing route is easy to complete, but it's tough to complete on the run like that. The big Jakin takes the ball, and he's a load. This guy can play big-time football, Jakin.
Yep, a big Division I prospect. In fact, his teammates on the sidelines, whenever he catches a pass, they start yelling, "The moose is loose." 1st and 10 for Ignatius. Wide receivers each way. Inside handoff to Fitzpatrick. Good defense by Moeller. Several blue jerseys there. Gain of only a couple of feet.
Talking to the defensive coaches for Moeller, their prime responsibility for this defense early, they thought, was to stop the running game and put the onus on Joe Pickens and see if he could throw the ball and beat him throwing. I think he's going to have to throw the ball. There's 8 men committed to the run right now, and Pickens is dying to throw the ball against this defense.
Most committed on that last play, defensive tackle Chad Whitaker. Top of your screen, the wide receiver is Pat Friend.
On balance right.
Mark Ruddy is in motion. Linebackers are blitzing. And that's why Pickens goes down. Chris Riles arrives before Pickens can cock the arm, and they will mark it at the 31. A loss of 9.
This is the problem with running the bootlegs when you're pulling offensive linemen out front. One of those linebackers stunts in there, and you just don't have a time to turn around and throw the ball. I think he'd be better off just dropping this guy in the pocket, giving him a pocket to throw in, and start picking on the defensive backfield.
3rd and 19. Defense will loosen up a bit.
They're dropping a linebacker to cover the one wide receiver out here.
It's Fitzpatrick in motion. Good protection. This one will be up for grabs. 2 defensemen there, and one of them picks it off. At the 36-yard line, Moeller has it stolen by Ardell Barkley, number 26.
Well, I think you can see why Pickens had a lot of interceptions. He has great confidence in his receivers and his arm. And when people are covered sometimes, he's just going to throw the ball up there and figure his guy's better than their guy. Joe throws the ball up, figures he's got as good a shot as anybody of getting this. And on 3rd down, that's not the worst thing that can happen. It's almost as good as a punt.
And he had a tall target, Pat Friend, 6'4", but good defense by Moeller. And their quarterback, Heisdu, is looking. And he'll go long, and his man is open, Chris Asbrock. Can the defenseman catch up at the 10? 5 struggling, and he is in. Touchdown, Moeller. Tim Kennedy couldn't reach him.
Chuck, a very basic football play they just hit for a touchdown. The outside receiver curls in, the inside receiver runs a flat to the sideline and then turns up behind him. The quarterback threw a strike down the sideline, and that tied this game up 7-7. Beautiful play.
It goes for 63 yards. And on now to attempt the tie is Doug Burwinkle, senior. Wakey holds, kick was good, and with 1:38 left in the first, we're knotted at 7.
Let's take a look at this replay and see if we can see the inside receiver going to the flat to the sidelines and then turning up behind the outside receiver curling. The quarterback has two choices, to hit the outside receiver or wait for the guy going up the rail, the sideline. Heisdu puts it right on the money, and this is the technique of throwing the long ball, not just completing, but get your wide receiver to catch it on the run. That's how you change the scoreboard.
And nice effort, the final 5 yards by 6 feet 4 inch senior Chris Asbrock, who had averaged 21 yards per reception this year. Well, Randy Reinhardt, I'm not sure about that prediction of low scoring. Clearly airing it out.
I don't think either coach will mind as long as they're scoring points. They just don't want the other team to score points.
Good kick by Burwinkle. At the 2, it will be Kennedy. 15, 20, has a seam. 30, out to the 35 and the 36.
Well, Kennedy had a chance to get back for that touchdown that was just hidden by his man behind him, so he gets the kickoff and gets back in the action.
Isn't he a little leg weary about now? Tackled by Tony Walker.
Ball is at the 36-yard line of St. Ignatius, 1st and 10.
We spoke with Steve Clowney about the kind of crowd that he thought Moeller would deliver to this game, and he actually said, we don't think we'll come up with more than 5,000 or 6,000. There's a lot of entertainment competition in the city of Cincinnati. But I would guess we have maybe a total of 30 here today, perhaps more. The weather's helping. There goes Fitzpatrick. Nice opening across the 40 and out to the 42.
It's a play that all the teams are running now. It's that counter trap play where you're pulling the backside offensive guard and offensive tackle and hitting it on a delayed trap. You'll see the left guard and left tackle pull. The fullback will lead and Fitzpatrick up the hole. Fitzpatrick, he's the brawn of that running game for the Ignatius. He's going to get the ball 20 times today.
Tackled by Darby and Ned on that last play. It was a gain of a long 6. That sets up 2nd and 4. Fitzpatrick again. First down at the 50, 45, and it opens up for him. Defenseman trying to catch up at the 25, 20, 15, and shoved out of bounds at the 6-yard line. The official hopscotching his way down. We're not sure where he's finally stopped.
Chuck, I think that's Brian Spear, backup fullback in on that play. Fitzpatrick made the block.
And they're going to say it is at the 6.
It looks like the 11-yard line.
Thank you. Forgive me. And
yes,
it was Spear.
It is Spear. Caught him a little off balance. Spear, once he gets ahead of steam going, I don't know why they got the 11-yard line. Did he step out of bounds with his foot? Yes, right there. He stepped out.
47 yards on the run. This has been a first quarter of long gainers. Split backfield now. Mark Ruddy is wide to the left. Single coverage, quarterback cheating and running the blitz and blitzing, and they go right past the blitz. Easy touchdown, Tim Kennedy. Quarterback on that side was coming, and the two passed to the 9. 13-7, St. Ignatius, with 13 seconds left in the first quarter.
Well, they ran a very basic play right into the blitzing linebacker. Nothing fancy right here. Fitzpatrick leads for Kennedy, almost the same play they just ran for 40 yards before, right into the strength of the defense. So that cannot make that Moeller defensive staff feel too good about that. They had the right call on and still had 6 points scored against them.
Just the 5th touchdown of the year for the fullback Kennedy. He's a senior. 9 seniors on this starting offense for St. Ignatius, which gets point 14 from Pat Friend. So timeout on the field, and the Wildcats now lead it by 7.
Chuck, you can really see why this Ignatius team is ranked in the top of the country. They have so many offensive weapons that they can go to. If the quarterback's not having the great day, they've got Fitzpatrick. They've got 2 fine fullbacks. They've got a tight end who everybody in the country would like to have. And they've got an offensive line that's averaging about 230 to 240 pounds. So it's kind of tough to draw up a defense when the offensive O's are bigger than your defensive X's, because they're going to have too many weapons for you.
Gary, any thoughts strategically on what Moeller can do to overcome the manpower problem?
They've tried just about everything they could so far. They've been slanting, they've been stunning, they ran a blitz, had the perfect call on for the play that was called right there. It looks to me like they're a little bit outmanned. They're going to have to look for some turnovers. I think the game plan for Moeller is correct. Try to shut down that running game and only give the Ignatius offense one thing to do and pass the ball, and they can maybe sack him and do some things to confuse Pickens. But as long as Pickens can both run and pass, they're going to be tough to stop.
Graham Hearns. And it will be Collins at the 20, 25, 30, and pushes the ball out to the 32. 7 seconds left in the first period. We're in Columbus on a 62-degree sunny day. The prior 4 state division championships have been determined, and the crown jewel is being decided today.
That's the end of the quarter.
Clock has run out, so we have reached the end of 1. With the score, the Wildcats of St. Ignatius 14, the Crusaders of Moeller 7. From Ohio Stadium in Columbus, where we begin Moeller 14-7.
I think both the staffs right now, the Ignatius staff is thumbing through their playbook, trying to figure out, what play might score next, and the defensive staff for Moeller is trying to figure out what they can come up with right now to stop them while they have the ball out here. Moeller 1st and 10.
With 3 wideouts all to the right, and Adam Heisdu looking that way as he backpedals. But he comes back to the left to Jody Smith. It's open. 45, 50, 45. Defenseman closing in, and he misses one of them. Gets inside the 35 and down to the 33 before cornerback Tom Stringer cuts him down.
Chuck, I think we got rough in the passer, too, so it's going to be another 15 yards tacked onto it.
Flag all the way back at the 18.
And he did hit him late. He had a couple steps after he let go of the ball. Another screen pass. Well-conceived offense by Moeller today. I think they know they're a little bit outmanned, and they're coming up with some new wrinkles to try to keep that Ignatius defense off balance.
And the screen, Gary, I would think is one of those plays where quickness can beat size.
Well, that's the idea, at least. You're trying to use a little bit more finesse. They're spreading out to the wide side of the field. Well, we talked about some of the different rules in pro football, which I've been doing for the last 15 years. That penalty is tacked on to the end of the play. Apparently, high school football, it has to be declined if you want the play.
Right, it's either or, and penalty obviously declined after a gain of 35 yards. And so spotted at the 32, 1st and 10 Moeller. Sun is only a factor for receivers looking back, as they might do on this play. Heisdu has his man inside the 15, stepping out of bounds between the 11 and the 10 is senior Joe Curran, last year's most valuable player in the sport of baseball.
Chuck Heisdu doesn't have to be embarrassed about how Pickens can throw the ball. He's throwing the ball very sharply here today. He's got a lot of natural ability. They're flanking 3 receivers to the wide side of the field and then throwing back to the short side, catching Ignatius in a man-to-man coverages, and they feel pretty confident with that system here.
That one gains 20. Spotted at the 15. It's open and fighting hard to the 10, and inside it is Smith, the fullback.
Ran the counter trap right into the blitz. When you blitz your linebackers and you don't blow up the play early, there's a lot of room to run into that secondary, because those linebackers, that's their job, to scrape off and make the tackles. And when they're in the backfield trying to cause confusion, they're not going to be able to fill those mistakes up front.
Gain of 7, 2nd and 3. Stop on the last play by co-captain Kareem Ingram, number 44. And defense digging in. 6-man front. The play goes to the left. Quarterback keeper. Heisdu is in. Touchdown, Moeller.
Beautiful play. I've never seen a play like like that. This is kind of fun watching these different types of offenses. They're spreading 3 people to one side. They had a quarterback keeper with the fullback as the lead blocker. That's some of the fun things you see in high school football that you don't see in the pro or the college game, because usually for each team, your best player is that quarterback, and you want to get him involved.
Would have looked like an option, except for the fact that there was no halfback behind.
No, this was all the way a design play as a fullback, the quarterback off tackle.
Terry Connect hits it, and we're tied again. Moeller had said coming into this game that it considered itself to enjoy the psychological advantage because it was the underdog, that the pressure might be on Ignatius, which ranks #1 in the nation.
I think this is a big shot for the Ignatius defense here. They didn't expect anybody to score 14 points in just a little more than a quarter of football against them. And their offense has been doing the job, but the defense has not been able to come through so far.
And we'll be back. The break. It is tied at 14.
Chuck, the way they're going, they got time to score 3 or 4 more touchdowns in 11:07.
4 plays, 65 yards by Moeller in that last drive. Peter Fitzpatrick, center of the field. The blocking is at the left, and he's going to abandon it on his own. At the 20, heading for the sideline and getting some help across it. Steps out at the 28. And stopped by Ardell Barkley.
Here's the last touchdowns. You'll see Collins will go in there and lead an off-tackle play, and the quarterback just follows behind. Really a beautifully well-conceived play, because the Ignatius defense is committing so many people to that wide side of the field.
And Gary, last week in its semifinal game, Heisdu ran for 3 touchdowns in the victory over Lima St.
Well, he's obviously the most talented player on this football team for them, and they've got to get him involved in their offense.
Pat Friend goes out wide to the left. In the slot to the left is Mark Ruddy. Now they go with trips, 3 wideouts, and in motion, making it a 4th is Fitzpatrick. The left is loaded, and Pickens wants to gun it that way and trouble him down. Stopped by senior defensive tackle Pat Holt, number 41.
They had all their eligible receivers to that side, and Pickens rolled to that side, but it was a little too crowded. There were no real open lanes, and Pickens is limping a little bit. Looks like his right ankle might have been twisted a little.
His backup would be Mark DeFranco if he is pulled. That in all likelihood, despite the talent of DeFranco, would stagger at least a bit the offense of St. Ignatius.
Chuck, with only having 3 defensive backs out there, it's kind of surprising that they would put the receivers all in one half of the field. If they spread them out, they've got a good opportunity to spread out those 3 defensive backs across the field and throw on a linebacker.
Now they're stacked behind the quarterback. And now a shift to a split. 2nd down, 17 after that loss of 7, and this isn't going to improve things much.
Pickens' ankle's really bothering him.
Kennedy, the ball carrier, and he's dropped at the 21. Gain of only about a foot. So call it now 3rd and 16. Tackle by Chris Riles.
Well, that's his push-off foot, too. It'll be interesting. This will be a passing situation here. And they should probably be a little careful here. They don't want to throw an interception backed up this far.
What wind there is, and it's mild, is blowing into the face of the passer, adding just another layer of discomfort if he has to drop back. It's the right side that's loaded up. Pickens. Nice pass, but a good defensive hit out at the 32 by Tony Walker. The target was Pat Friend, and he took a good shot.
He did, and so did Pickens take a good shot. And that's not good to see with the big size they have on that offensive line. It was only a 3-step drop pass and a quick slant. He put the ball right on the money, and Friend dropped it before he got hit.
Should have had it.
Well, here goes that Ignatius punting game again. I think the Moeller punt returner should move up a little bit. They have not been punting the ball that deep, especially under the wind.
Pat Friend is punting under a bit of pressure. Low driving spiral. And back at the 41.
They got it set up. Oh, he couldn't get to the wall.
Good defense. Indeed, Ardell Barkley could not. Dropped back at the 38. Fine coverage by Moeller.
Chuck, these 2 teams are so well coached. You can see the punt return set up. You can see the Moeller punt coverage people recognize that wall and try to defeat it.
14-14, 9:04 remaining in the 2nd quarter. And now it is Heisdu's turn. The team that has won 7 state championships, and look at him go Zimmerman is dropped right about at first down yardage. A gain of 10, and there will be a measurement. And while there is, let's go to the sidelines. Randy Reinhardt.
Chuck, you mentioned 7 state titles. Here's a man who won 5 of them, Jerry Faust. Jerry, it's great to have you here today.
Well, it's great to be here. It's a great high school football game. Ignatius and Moeller are outstanding high school football teams, and they're really giving the fans a real thrill here this afternoon.
Is it harder to coach the team or watch them play?
Well, it's difficult both ways. Of course, you know, having Moeller blood in me, I got to root for Moeller, and I think Ignatius is a great team and they're well coached, but I got to root for Moeller here right now.
Are you surprised by the amount of offense you've seen so far?
It's a heck of an offensive performance by both teams, and this is the first time I've seen Moeller this year. I watched them practice once. I saw Ignatius against Massillon, and I was very impressed with Ignatius against Massillon. I thought they're a very physical football team, and I didn't know if Moeller could handle the physical line of Ignatius, but they're doing a pretty good job.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Back to you, Chuck.
13-yard pass reception to Matt Burrell from Highsdue. It is first down. Tough sledding for Jody Smith, the fullback. Takes it from the 38
number 95 made the tackle
to the 37. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Stopped by defensive end Matt Cooney.
The pass play for the one we missed, it was just a short pass out in the flat, and Ruddy missed the tackle, and great effort picked up the first down. Nothing fancy, just a short out.
Both of these teams, by the way, in order that they might sleep in their own beds in their own homes last night, bust up this morning. They did not come into town a day early. They've had no trouble getting loosened up. Highsdue long, wide open, and he missed him. The target was Joe Curran.
That's the one you hate to overthrow as a quarterback. That's like missing the 2-foot putt for a birdie. You get to a position to end the hole, and you can't put it in his man. It's one you don't want to overthrow when they're wide open. You just want to put it in his hands, let him turn around and catch it and run for a touchdown. That's a quarterback's nightmare.
Timeout is going to be called by St. Ignatius. So we'll take a break. 7:46 now in the second quarter. The Division V title game is tied at 14. Additional power in this sport against the fresh-faced upstarts. And midway through period 2, they're locked at 14.
A lot of pride in these two areas, trying to hold up their area. High school football wears it king, and right now it's still on the field right now. They're yet to be determined.
Wide receivers each way. As Adam Highsdue looks over a defense. Now tries to pick it clean, and is forced from the pocket, in trouble, and dropped back at the 46 it will be. Of Ignatius by Jamie Joyner, number 82, defensive tackle.
Chuck, Jamie Joyner gets the sack, but give the credit to the defensive secondary. It was a coverage sack. There was nobody for Highsdue to throw to. Everyone had good coverage. Highsdue had plenty of time to throw. He looks around.
Loss of 10, and now the punt. And it is fair caught out at the 7 by Fitzpatrick.
That was a tough fair catch into the sun right there, and Fitzpatrick might have got a little confused with the sun and everything. He fair caught it inside the 10. Usually the coaches will tell you, if you back up inside the 10, let it go. Tough field position now.
For an Ignatius offense that averages about 345 yards per game in total offense, and good balance. 146 in rushing, 198 in passing. So you can't cheat defensively. Pat Brand is out wide to the right. Joining him in motion is Ruddy, but it'll come back the other direction. Good defensive hit at the line of scrimmage. At the bottom of the pile is Peter Fitzpatrick, only 5'9", 176 pounds. For the second consecutive year, he rushed for more than 1,000 yards.
We'll give credit to the front 8 for Cincinnati Moeller. They're defeating their blocks with quickness right now. They're hitting the gaps, they're plugging it, and they're blowing up that running game before the power of that Ignatius line can take over.
5 touchdowns for Fitzpatrick in the playoffs, 18 for the season. Brian Spear is now in at running back along with Fitzpatrick. After a gain of 1, it is 2nd and 9, and Pickens has his man. Nice catch by Jacob. Runs across the 25 and out to about the 30, and it'll be a first down. Good hands.
Pickens read it perfectly. He was trying to throw back to the split receiver who was double covered, and then he picked up the tight end coming across the formation. Jakin is just a marvel to watch. That ball was a little behind him, and he does when he picks up a head of steam. You'll see Jakin cross the formation. Pickens looks left. Nobody's there, so he comes back to the tight end. What a grab.
22 yards. It's marked at the 29. First and 10 for Ignatius. It's been a bombs-away game so far. Lots of long passes that have hit. Pickens may be thinking that again. Had his man wide open over the middle, and it is Pat Friend trying to outrace the defense at the 50, 45, 40, and out of bounds inside the 40. Stopped finally by Ken Darby, but a nice route and a good read.
Great job by Pickens holding in the pocket. It started to collapse around him, and he waited for Friend to come across that formation from the left side and hit him on the run again. You know, it's just too tempting with those three defensive backs when you got a quarterback of Pickens' stature not to throw the ball. There's only 3 people back there, and they're laying off now about 15 to 12 yards, and there's plenty of room to throw the ball up in front of them.
47 yards down to the 30. And now in giving Pat Friend a breather is Leo Congini, number 9 at one of the wideouts. He is to the right, Mark White is to the left. Draw play. Defense is ready. Fitzpatrick pulls the defense for a yard to the 29. It'll be 2nd and 9.
Again, Chuck, you know, where we've come from the pro game, and I've been watching it for 15 years, if a defense commits 8 people to the run, you have to throw the ball. And that's what Moeller's right now is saying. We're not going to let you run the ball on us. We're going to make you throw. And Ignatius has to take it and throw the ball.
Tackle on that last play by second-team All-Stater Jeff Crable. 2nd and 9 from the 29 of Moeller. Linebackers are dealing, and there's the pass, and again, kind of like Gary mentioned, it is open for Ruddy. He is hit right away at the 22, but it'll be a gain of 7 and set up 3rd and 2.
Well, Pickens is big and strong, so he can see over that rush, so those short passes are not much of a problem. I'd like to see them do that the last couple days when it was cold here. Today's not bad weather to do it.
Got a great break on the weather. There is Chuck Heil.
Still about 10 yards off, even on the 20-yard line. The defensive backfield.
3rd and 2. And nice defense by Moeller. Brian Spear is caught perhaps a foot behind the line of scrimmage. First hit from Chris Riles, inside linebacker, and it will be 4th and 2.
No, they'll probably go for it. Their kicking game is, they have a lot of confidence in that passing game. You know, if you just add up numbers, Chuck, you know, you got 2 wide receivers, you got a quarterback who hands off the ball, and a running back who's carrying it. That leaves you only 7 people to block, and they've got 8 guys up there. Somebody's on block every play.
You're right. Ignatius will go. 4th and 2. Spear and Fitzpatrick are the backs. It'll be an option. Pickens in trouble, and Moeller has held. And on such plays are momentum built.
Momentum built and state championships built. I mean, that was a very smartly defensed by Moeller. Probably caught him by surprise. I can't imagine they worked too much on the option this week, but the defensive linebacker peeled with the running back and forced Pickens to carry it, and by then the pursuit came in to make the tackle.
Defensive hero was Brian Zelina. 4:10 left until halftime, tied at 14. 1st and 10 from the 24 after that loss of 2 to Heisdu and Moeller. Long, pretty good defense. Nice pass just beyond the reach of Asbrock.
Same play that they hit for the touchdown earlier in the game.
Coverage by Tim Kennedy.
You know, there's no use throwing away a play that was successful for him, and it's nice to see Moeller come back with a play that put 6 points on the board for him.
There's young man Asbrock, number 84, averaged 21 yards per reception.
Well, he's up to that average again today, too. All man-to-man coverage.
2nd and 10. Single setback, Carlos Collins, linebacker showing blitz. Yep, and he runs right by Collins. who nonetheless is hit by Mike Zdanek out at about the 28.
Interesting point in the game right now. Moeller's thinking, of course, let's move the ball and put some points on the board, but they're also thinking, let's not give that Ignatius offense the ball in too good a field position where they have an opportunity here before half.
Gain of 4.5, if you will. Third and a short 6. Defense in tight, so Heisdu is going to sling it. And it is caught after being tipped by Joe Curran. Good soft hands, and he is out near the 35, and it will be, I believe, by about a foot, a first down.
Well, Heisdu really threw that ball sharply to him. It wasn't that long of a pass, and he put it right there with some zip on it. And this is a great catch because he gets grabbed as he's catching this ball right here. And that's great concentration, looking it all the way into the hands.
Coverage by Brian Spear on the play, but it is a first down at Moeller's own 35. Clock becoming a factor at 3:15. 65 yards away is the goal. Moeller sees screens with one good key block, and it opens up at the 40, 45, 50. And stepping out of bounds is Carlos Collins, and I believe about the 45 of Ignatius, bumped out by Stringer. And before the next play, let's go downstairs to Randy Reinhardt.
All right, thank you, Chuck. I'm with the athletic director from St. Ignatius, Dale Gabor, from one Hungarian to another. Talk a little bit about St. Ignatius. I know you address 75 guys on the varsity roster, but you say the roster's bigger than that. You take the whole city in, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think last year was a good example of it. The entire city got behind us last year when we won the state championship. And, of course, this year it's been the same way. The entire city, all the suburbs and everyone has been pulling for us. We've gotten dozens of telegrams from various places, people pulling for us. So it's been a real community effort this year.
Tied at 14, 3 minutes left to go in the half. Your comments?
Well, I'll tell you what, we got to get a few things squared away on defense here. Cincinnati Moeller's got an awfully quick team here, and they look very, very good so far this first half. It should make for a great second half. Should be
right. Thank you. And Chuck, a reminder, the coaches said it would be low scoring. I didn't. Back to you.
The prior play had gained 21. This one, a pass to Keith Valerius, also gets 21. Moeller is marching with a 1st and 10. Now inside the 25 of Ignatius. Clock moving at 2:48. Quick fake of a pass, and then the handoff to Collins, who is smothered by 4 white jerseys. It'll be a loss of a long one, 2nd and 11.
The previous play, the big pass down to Valerius, Heisdu made a tremendous play. There was nothing open to the right. He scrambled to his left and threw the ball about 30 yards to a man running to his left. A very well thrown ball. Heisdu having a great game so far.
Collins stopped on the last play by Trent Zenkowitz, junior defensive tackle. 2nd and 11. 3 wide receivers to the right. Defense coming hard, but good blocking and pass back to the left at the 10. It is complete, and rolling out of bounds is Joe Curran down near the 6. Mike Reale, safety, stops it.
Mike Reale made the tackle, but he needs to get up a little closer to that tight end on the backside. Some of those throws are a little too easy for Heisdu to come back. That was the same play, the same formation, and the same motion that they almost hit for the touchdown when Heisdu overthrew early in the game. Great drive. Moeller's got to be feeling great about what's going on.
And they're getting him in huge chunks. 18 on that pass play. 189 yards passing in this game already for Moeller.
There's the touchdown for him.
And there's the quarterback who scored 3 by running last week, but maybe in scouting the films, Ignatius developed a respect for that running, and they stop him cold. No gain, and it will be 2nd and goal from the 6. Good hit by Ryan Spicer and Kareem Ingram.
Well, it's nice to see Moeller going back to plays that were successful for him before, and this time the Ignatius defense adapted to it, strung them out, and it came up and made the throw.
Wideouts galore to the right. That's the wide side of the field. 2nd and goal from the 6. 6'3" Heisdu is going to pitch back to Collins. He's at the 5 and in. Touchdown, Moeller.
It's nice to have a quarterback. Heisdu can do a lot of things for you. Ran the option to the short side, took on the linebacker, pitched it, and all Collins had to do was walk into the end zone. Well-conceived play. Great-looking offense they've got going right now.
He averaged more than 100 yards rushing per game. Number 10 is Terry Canet. And Moeller, the dog in this game, has a 7-point lead, 21-14, with only a minute 22 remaining. And here's another look at how they scored.
He's going to run it to his right. There's no tight end there, so that end man is going to get to him quick. Heisdu, with quick feet, makes the pitch, and it's basically a walk, and there's nobody going to stop Collins with that head of steam.
Effective this weekend, the nation's elite high school players may begin making official weekend visits to as many as 5 colleges, where the college coaches will be attempting to coddle and convince. And then on the second Wednesday in February, the players may finally sign the official papers with the school they've chosen. Moeller coach Steve Kalani says his senior class probably does not include a single player of Division I caliber. 6 to 7 such players exist, though, for St. Ignatius, which has Tim Kennedy running at the 20. It opens for a moment, and he's finally cut down at the 30. A minute 18 left for the Ignatius offense.
Plenty of time for a passing team with the quarterback like a Pickens and the wide receiver and the passing drop-back passing style that they have to still put points on the board. They have 2 timeouts. The clock stops between a first down, so still a chance to put some points on the board.
Spotted at the 31. And Pickens now will probably come out swinging. Moeller defense, yes, loosens up a bit. There's the pump. Now back across it comes, and nice catch by Ruddy. The defenseman lost his shoe right at the side of the reception. It's out to the 40, gain of 9, 2nd and 1.
That was a great catch by Ruddy. There was 2 people all over him right there. He just reached out and grabbed the ball with his hands, as he's taught every day to do.
Tackle by Jason Nett, no huddle offense, 2-minute drill it is. For the Wildcats, they need 7.
Deep zones being shown.
Pickens short drop. Oh my goodness, was the pick-off ever there? Nice defensive play, all except for the hands by Ken Darby. Dangerous pass. It was intended for Ruddy.
Chuck, there's nothing really the receiver could do. There's nobody to make a fake on here. Pickens threw the ball into a rotated defense, meaning the cornerback had help deep behind him with the safety, so he could gamble on those short passes. Pickens has to go in a different direction when he sees that defense.
I sense that Chuck Pyle probably aged about a decade when he saw that pass being thrown.
Same defense again. Both short zones are going to be covered wide.
3rd down and 11. Good defense again. Properly timed strike on Peter Fitzpatrick by Brian Zelina.
They have to throw the ball over the middle of the field. It's 4th and short here right now. I think they'd have to punt the ball.
Yes, forgive me, I read the yard markers wrong. 32 seconds left until the break. The ball is at the 40 of Ignatius, and Friend will be back to punt. Yeah, they're a little close, Gary, just to eat it and take their hit.
Yeah, there's too much time left. 30 seconds, and the Crusaders still have all 3 of their timeouts.
Moeller nonetheless goes for a return. Low driving spiral should produce a run back. You know, perhaps a bad decision by Barkley. Finally gets it at the 6. White jerseys surrounding him everywhere, and down he goes just outside the 10 with 18 seconds remaining.
Well, I'd be surprised if Moeller did anything but fall on the ball right now and going to halftime very satisfied with the 21-14 lead. And I think you'll see the end of the half with nothing more happening here.
May not even get off a play. One of those differences, Gary, in high school rules is that the clock will begin as soon as the chains are set, not on the snap.
Right, they don't have to run a play here. And I doubt if they will.
Yeah, there goes the clock now, moving at 15. Well, what a first half it has been. At halftime, by the way, you will see the bands of both schools, and we will also have a sideline interview between Randy Reinhardt and the commissioner of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, Dick Armstrong. Yep, Moeller's just going to head in to the locker room and with a smile on its face. The big power of Ignatius, ranked #1 in the nation, #1 in the state, and undefeated, has its hands full with twice beaten Moeller. But this is the Moeller of good breeding, the program that has been here before and knows how to win. We'll return to all. Cleveland St. Ignatius, defending Division I champion, is trailing Cincinnati Moeller 21-14. take a look at some of the highlights of this first half.
Third play of the game right here. They come out of the blocks, fake the screen pass. It's a hook and go route. Pickens puts the ball right on the mark, and this shocks Cincinnati Moeller 7-0. You know, there had to be some doubt in Moeller's minds playing the top-rated team in the country, and all of a sudden it's 7-0. You're spotting the #1 team, 7-0 score, and Moeller, like the thoroughbreds they are, come back and make this game close with the great play of Adam Heisdu.
That was Mark Ruddy, who went for 80 yards. And here comes a 63-yarder in the return, Gary.
These plays look the same. This was kind of a out and up pass to the inside receiver. Heisdu puts it right on the mark, and these plays are kind of mirrors of each other. The tackle's made, and he kind of bounces into the end zone, but close enough for a 7-7 score, and that kind of brought reality back to the football game.
That was Chris Asbrock who scored.
This is a Kennedy who scores after a long drive, a couple big runs and an off tackle right into a blitz. And again, Ignatius shows its power by taking the 14-7 score. Heisdu comes back with a keeper, kind of a finesse play, lining up 3 receivers to one side, and they run the quarterback keeper to the other side. And then they come right back the next series and run the option to the wide side of the field. And this is a walk-in for Collins.
Which broke the tie, gives Moeller its lead heading into the halftime break. Second half, Gary, what are you going to be looking at most closely?
Well, there's no doubt that Cincinnati Moeller, no matter what the coaches told them all week about what could happen in this game, had to have a little self-doubt. Could they stand up to the pressure of this big St. Ignatius football team with all the weapons they had? But at halftime, there was no doubt in their minds that they had a chance to knock off the #1 team in the country and take home a state championship that no one expected them to win. So I think they're going to look into the second half as, hey, there's no doubt now we can win, we can do it with the plays we brought in our game plan, and we can bring the state championship back to Cincinnati Moeller.
And on the far side of the field, if you are St. Ignatius.
I think St. Ignatius just has to tighten their chin straps a little bit and play a little more power football on defense. They don't seem to be tackling very well. There's been some sloppy tackling on passes. They have to attack Heisdu a little bit more in the pocket. They seem to be off balance on defense. There have been some missed assignments. I look for them to just kind of tighten it up and show that why they were #1 all year. They've come back in other games down by 11 points with a few minutes to go against Euclid, and I think they have to just turn it on and show people here why they've been ranked #1 for the past couple years in this state.
Two schools of thought on the sport of football. One is that you get big people and you win with power. The other school of thought, which would favor in today's game Moeller, is that you can't tackle them if you can't catch them. Might it be a case of Moeller's quickness being too much for St. Ignatius as opposed to Ignatius' size being too much for Moeller?
Well, Ignatius has a lot of thoroughbreds also. They just seem to be a little bit off key here so far on defense especially. I don't think there's any choice. In high school, you play with what's dealt you, and right now Moeller has a smaller team and they have to go with this type of attacking offense. Ignatius, I don't believe, realized what this spread out offense that Moeller employs would cause them the problems that it has in the first half. And Heisdu, let's face it, is playing maybe the game of his life, in the biggest game of his life, as he prepares to enter the college in whatever he's going to do, baseball or football. Looks to me like he could choose either right now.
215 yards passing for Heisdu. Again, that is a Division I championship game passing yardage record, and he still has a half to go.
And they got the ball coming out of the blocks right now. Let's see if Ignatius changes their game plan a little bit and tries to attack a little bit more on defense. They need to gang tackle. They need to wrap up the ball carrier. It looks to me like they've been a little bit hesitant trying to defend this wide open attack that Moeller's shown so far.
Second half of the Division I state championship game. Moeller leads 21-14 and leads, by the way, the #1 team in the United States. And the kick by Hearns is going to come down to Tony Walker. At the 20-25, bounces away from one tackler, loses the ball, but loses it out of bounds. And in fact, by losing it, gains a few more yards. Let's check the mark. I believe it was beyond the 30. They'll spot it at the 31. The hit came from Kareem Ingram.
Yeah, it happened right near this sideline, and you know, there hasn't been the big turnover by Moeller yet, and that's what they also have to avoid.
Keith Valerius and Matt Burrell are two of the three wide receivers. The single setback is Jody Smith for Heisdu, who is going to option and pitch it to Smith away from one man on a decent block across the 35 to the 36. Gain of 5, second and 5.
Again, Spear missed the tackle. They played the option as properly. Spear scraped out to make the tackle, and Smith just made him miss. Good running by Smith. the option, that's what makes it work. A lot of times you free up people, then they have to make one-on-one tackles. Spear coming inside out has to make that play.
Tackle by Mike Reale.
Again, Ignatius confused.
3 wideouts. Coverage that way. Again, it is going to be the single setback. And nice defense against Jody Smith. The first hit from defensive tackle Trent Zankowitz, who leads the defense with 9 sacks.
Chuck, that's what I was talking about. They have to get in that backfield and make some things happen. Ignatius has been playing catch defense so far, and they got to get in there and cause some problems for that offense for Moeller.
Number 76, Zankowitz, last year was the only sophomore starter on the 14-0 state championship team for Ignatius. 3rd and 9 after a loss of 4.
Man-to-man, they're blitzing.
And he gets it away before he is hit, and it is lost out at the 42 by Mike Bierman. Couldn't hold on. Coverage by Mike Reale. And Moeller, in the first possession of the second half, is going to have to punt.
Well, I think Chuck Kyle saw what I saw. They went straight man-to-man. They moved up their defensive backs a little bit. They brought some people, and they said, hey, we're not going to sit back and lose this state championship. Let's attack and see what happens.
Burwinkle to punt. He'll get it off just outside the 20. Back deep is Ruddy, and beside him Fitzpatrick, and this will be Fitzpatrick, center of the field, 35. Good coverage, and he fights his way out to just shy of the 40.
Good job by Fitzpatrick fielding that punt, getting some positive yardage. If you let those things bounce, it's going to cost you. So Fitzpatrick makes a play just by catching that ball.
Tackled by Ryan Grabo, number 81. 10:26 remaining in the 3rd, and the Crusaders of Moeller, the underdogs in this one, lead undefeated. St. Ignatius 21-14. It has been a game of bombs away football. Long runs, longer passes. They shift into the I. Fitzpatrick is the I back behind Tim Kennedy. Joe Pickens, a Parade Magazine All-American quarterback. Hands off to Fitzpatrick, who gets from just shy of the 40 to about the 41. Call it a gain of a long one, 2nd and 9.
Except for the 2 big runs by Kennedy and Brian Spear in that one drive that they capped for a touchdown, the Moeller defense has been able to shut off Peter Fitzpatrick, and that's been the difference in the game. That was their goal coming in, and they've been very successful at it.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick averaging 5 yards per carry, had more than 1,000 for the season.
Here comes the roll-up zone to both sides. You have to throw over the middle of the field.
2nd and 9, deep drop and the screen to the left side, it's open. Kennedy at the 45, 50 steps out of bounds at the 48 of Moeller.
Tim Kennedy's a impressive-looking football player. He caught that, showed a burst of speed. Here it is, Pickens looking off the screen, dropping it. Very good call against the deep zones that Moeller's using.
Remember, you're looking at a rarity there in number 48. He plays on both sides of the football.
Very talented athlete. He looks like he's got the speed to play big-time football also.
6'2" senior and a fullback who averages 5 a carry. That's a bit rare. The gain on the play, enough for a first down. 11. Just into Moeller territory. Back, and Pickens is hit as he throws. What's going to happen? Incomplete, down at the 19. He was going for John Jakin, his celebrated tight end.
The flea flicker pass set up pretty well with the running game back to Pickens, but it happened a little too quick. By the time the Moeller defensive backs, who were playing very deep, had time to react to the run, the defensive backs, the receivers hadn't gotten deep enough on him to get by him, so the play didn't work just because of the depth of the Moeller defensive backs where they align. Very, very deep lineup right now.
So now 2nd and 10 from the 49 of Moeller. Defense drops. Has a man open. And it is caught at the 15, at the 10. Spinning away is Mark Ruddy, and he is in. Touchdown, St. Ignatius.
Well, give half of it to Pickens with a great throw, but give the other half to Ruddy for a great run after the catch.
The defenseman was number 37, Ken Darby, and there is co-captain Mark Ruddy.
Great job by Pickens looking off the deep safety. He had Friend coming across the formation on the crossing route. He looked off the safety as if he was going to throw the ball to the shorter route and threw it right over his head for the big play. And this has got to make Pickens feel great.
It's the same Mark Ruddy who opened the game with an 80-yard reception. So
Ignatius short a man here. Oh, here he comes.
Shirley Ruddy is flirting with some reception records. Graham Hearns to kick. It is good, and back and forth we go. We've had shuttlecock custody of the lead, and we're now back to a 21-all tie. 9:01 left in the third. We'll return to Ohio Stadium's Horseshoe.
Turn on Sports Channel any night of the week for exciting sports action.
It's over center. The pass to Chelios picked off. Gilmore cutting in on one. He scores!
Witness excitement on ice with more than 50 NHL regular season games, plus unprecedented coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's a race, and Ismail is gone. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Follow the Notre Dame tradition with a full slate of Fighting Irish sports featuring top-ranked football and basketball. Climb into the ring every week with the Sports Channel Pro Boxing Tour. It's a knockout. Tune in to Sports Nightly for up-to-the-minute scores, highlights, and news before and after every event. And there's more, including the National Federation High School Game of the Week, daily thoroughbred racing, the Boston Marathon, professional tennis, top college basketball action, and international amateur events. Turn on Sports Channel for exciting sports.
In its opening possession of the second half, St. Ignatius is able to go 60 yards, burning up only 1:12 off the clock, 7 plays, and it was Mark Ruddy who began the game with an 80-yard touchdown reception, this time getting one for 64.
You know, Chuck, as we've got a new passing leader, too. Pickens has now passed Haidu. They both are over 200 yards passing, and you're looking at probably both quarterbacks going over 300 yards in this shootout today.
There is the approach by Hearns, and it is going to come down at the 10 to Tony Walker. Has a seam, but the defense closes it beyond the 25 at the 26.
You know, Chuck, what happened to that old Ohio tradition in football, those 3 yards in a cloud of dust? Here you see the play-action pass. Pickens will look back. He looks left to draw the safety, and then he knows he has the post going over the top of the play, puts it on the mark again. Can't tell you how tough it is to throw those balls 40, 45 yards and put it on the mark. And look at Ruddy fight. He wants a touchdown pass.
And he makes the throwing look effortless at that distance. You get the sense that if you ever really uncoiled, he's probably capable of 60 to 70 in the air. Here is Heisdu, who has optioned like this today a couple of times. Collins is going to be nicely covered at the line of scrimmage.
Brian Spear came from inside out and scraped properly that time. Came in from Collins and didn't give him that cutback lane and played it properly that time.
Number 45 is Spear.
Brian Spear, he played it the way he should have played it last time. If you overrun those pitches, he can give the back a two-way go. That time he forced him to the outside and ran him from the inside and made the tackle.
Carlos Collins. 10 carries today, 54 yards. There's a little blocking at the moment. Wobbly pass, but it is complete out to the 39 to Joe Curran, stopped by Mark Ruddy.
Well, Ruddy needs to move up a little bit. That backside tight end has been hurting him in the passing game all day. Ruddy needs to get up to him, play a little bit of maybe outside shoulder, and take away that out pass that's hurt him all day. Plus, they missed one for a touchdown early in the game when Ruddy was covering.
Gary, Ruddy just got done receiving a 60-yard touchdown pass. Would it be wise for Moeller to come back at him defensively and see if he still has the legs to keep up with the long
Well, that
pass?
sometimes is the game plan. You don't see a lot of players in the college game going both ways for that reason. But in the high school game, you've only got so many great athletes, and when you're playing man-to-man coverage like Ignatius is today, you have to take your best players and put them out on the field.
Pat Friend comes out of the game. Bit shaken up. And Matt Burrell, wide receiver, clears out wide to the left. Keith Valerius Ignatius beside him. Joe Kern is the third wide out, and here comes a sweep that direction. Flag flies in the offensive backfield as Jody Smith crosses the 45 to the 46. Pending the penalty, it could be a gain of 7 on a 1st and 10 play. Tackled by Kareem Ingram.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of penalties. That would look like illegal motion for the Cincinnati Moeller somewhere in the offensive line. And, you know, that makes for a good, entertaining game when you have both teams playing the clean game that they're being played right now, and typifies the type of coaching these kids are getting at this level.
And for a state championship game, and I guess you credit it to good breeding, not a lot of nervous mistakes out there today.
No, like I said, these kids have been playing in big games for 2 or 3 years. They've also watched it and grown up watching Cincinnati Moeller football or St. Ignatius football. And when you come to these types of schools, you expect to play in these types of games. That's why you went to Ignatius. That's why you go to Moeller.
Well, Moeller won 71 consecutive regular season games from 1978 into the 1985 season.
Let's see if they come back to that screen to the right side that they've been successful with earlier in the ball.
First and
here it is.
15. But you can outrun him, and he can't. It's going to be Jody Smith dropped at the 40 after a gain of 6. Good speed defensively by Tim Kennedy, outside linebacker.
Chuck, they came back to the screen. It's been successful for them, and they've had a kind of a history here so far in this game of going back to plays that have been successful for them earlier. You know, that's just good coaching. They got plays that have worked for them. Why not dial them again until they're stopped?
Second now, and a long 9 or a short 10, if you will, at the 40 of Moeller. 7:20 left in the 3rd period. Moeller on the attack is tied with Ignatius. Moeller ranks 6th in the state poll. Ignatius number 1 and trying to defend. Heisdu has his man open out there, and it is through the arms of Chris Asbrock. Ryan Spicer defending, didn't see the ball, and just threw up his hands at the last moment.
Ignatius has noticeably moved up their defensive backs to try to challenge these people, and Moeller is countered with a deep pass. Heisdu had him open. You watch him drop back. Surprise him how open it is right now. And he a little bit underthrows this ball, a little bit of a flutterer, and that gives a chance to break up this play. Could have been a touchdown.
Heisdu has a quick release, Gary, which may be more baseball arm than football arm.
Oh, it looks to be, but he's taking advantage of it today. I don't seem to be any shortcomings in his game.
3rd down, and again, that long 9. Defensive pressure, and the Heisdu throws wildly out of it, over the head of Matt Burrell at midfield. Coverage by Tom Stringer. Player down for St. Ignatius. It is defensive tackle Trent Zankowitz, number 76.
Well, they put the pressure that they needed to put on Heisdu, and that was what had to happen, because Heisdu's been having his way back there throwing the ball around the field. They spread out the field enough to put a lot of pressure on those defensive backs, but Ignatius has changed their game plan.
An injury timeout is going to be called for Zankowitz, so we'll take a break. 7:02 on the 3rd period clock. The Crusaders and the Wildcats are tied at 21.
Don't you want some of this stuff?
JJ, now that you've won it all, how are you going hardship?
My man JJ McCormick's not only going hardship, I'm going lottery.
A lot of people will tell you that cocaine not only will get you high, but will take your performance to a different level. But in this game, the higher you go, the closer you get to the bottom.
I'm JJ, man.
Jukin, jamming, popping, rock. I'll stick with transition.
Every game's a man with every days. What the hell's going on?
One game is in your face, the next thing isn't even in the game.
Hey, JJ! Stop, JJ!
You guys seen JJ?
Police announced that they'd arrested JJ McCormick.
Injury timeout continues for St. Ignatius defensive tackle Trent Zankowitz. And during the break, let's now go down to Randy Reinhardt for some explanation of the artwork that you have seen today and the close-ups of these two teams' helmets. Randy?
All right, thank you, Chuck. You're looking at the Moeller helmet right now. You might see some signs on the top. Well, the stars are for great plays on offense, and the skull and crossbones for great plays on defense. Now, until the injury timeout we just had, I talked to both trainers. No major injuries in this contest. Also, the sun has kind of disappeared from Ohio Stadium. The temperature has dropped 8 to 10 degrees down here on the field. Chuck?
Mostly in the shade now. Burwinkle is going to be punting to Ruddy and Fitzpatrick. It bounces at the 35, the 30, 25, and crawling inside it to the 23. With 6:52 left in the third and a 21-all tie, St. Ignatius offense comes back aboard.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now what type of offense is going to be dialed by this Ignatius team. I have to believe that every time Pickens goes to the bench, he's telling the coach, I can throw for 500 yards today, coach. Just let me loose, let me do what I can do.
By the way, it is the second team quarterback on the sidelines who signals the plays to Joe Pickens on behalf of the offensive coordinator. Moeller, on the other hand, uses the messenger system directly from the head coach.
A 15-yard cushion.
From the 23, Pickens snaps it left and beyond his target, Pat Friend. It'll be 2nd and 10. Good smoke on the ball. So he's at 50% of the day, lots of yards.
Yeah, they've hit the big play, and that's been the key to the game so far. Moeller's trying to make him throw underneath all the coverage, but they've still been forcing the issue and just throwing the ball downfield.
And Pickens, despite the extraordinary talent, actually has had his numbers fall rather sharply in the playoff from what they were in the regular season, both completion percentage and interceptions. 2nd and 10. From the Wildcats' own 23, 3 wide receivers. Here comes the defense, and Pickens gets rid of it before going down. A flag is going to fly. Defenseman Chris Riles is angry. I'm not sure of the call.
I think they're going to call intentional grounding. I don't know what else they could call. It is intentional grounding.
Yeah, he pointed at the defenseman who was furious. Riles thought he was going to get called for a late hit.
Well, Pickens had a screen set up, so he didn't, his receiver, his intended receiver was not looking for the ball yet, and he had someone in his face. They caught a tough defense for the play that was called. Pickens had nothing to do but try to throw it at someone's feet, and he got called. Nothing much he could do about it. Actually, a pretty good call by the referee.
Significant march off. It pushes the ball down to between the 4 and the 5.
Well, here's where we're not going to have, Moeller right now is hoping for some big mistake and to have the short field to score. And on the other side of the line right now, we're looking at Pickens trying to avoid the big mistake. Unlikely that you could pick up a first down, 3rd and 20-some yards like this. So it looks like they'll be probably safe with this call, I believe.
3rd and 29. The running backs are lined up in the end zone. In motion is Ruddy. And he'll take the sweep and is going to quick kick, and it is almost blocked. Very short, high kick that will bounce at the 35. Oh, and then the big charitable Sunday roll across midfield, and there it shall be down. Near calamity, Gary, almost blocked.
That is really a dangerous call. Trying a quick kick against an 8-man front team, they got away with it, but I don't know if they wouldn't have been better off maybe throwing a 10-yard pass and just dropping in the punt formation and kicking it that far. Watch what happens right here. He kicks it right underneath somebody's legs. They're doing it against an 8-man front, and that should have been blocked.
Moeller on the attack. That was Jason Nett, by the way, who nearly got the block. Right at midfield. Heisdu going to fire right away. Nice sharp pass, but behind his target down at the 42. It was intended for Keith Valerius, 2nd and 10.
The same play that they hit for the touchdown earlier in the game. The outside receiver curls at about 10 yards. The inside receiver to the side of the formation goes to the flat and then turns up the sideline. This time the curl was open. Heisdu did just not make a very good throw that time.
8th-year coach Steve Clowney of Moeller High School. He has had 2 of those state
scores 21 yards or 296 to 295 at this point in the game.
5:54 left in the third. Heisdu trying to add to his championship game record. Pass is overthrown. The crowd for Moeller is groaning for a cheap hit by the Ignatius defense. No call. That was Carlos Collins who was decked, and it will be now 3rd and 10.
Kareem Ingram read that screen all the way. They had a man coverage again. Tough to throw that screen, a slow developing screen into the man coverage. Looks like the Ignatius defense has turned it up a notch, and they're a little bit more ready to play defense this half.
Matt Burrell and Valerius grab wide to the right. Ashcroft is in the slot. Defense playing it straight. Heisdu with that ability to run rolls right into traffic and incomplete. Passed actually a couple of receivers down near the 25. Defense by Stringer. The target was Valerius.
That's one of those plays. They had 4 receivers to that side of the field, and Heisdu was rolling that way. You got to make him call his pocket with that throw, so to speak. I don't know who he was throwing to. About 3 guys had a shot at him.
Burwinkle to punt. Gets a good snap. The ball is going to go probably, yes, from the shade to the sun. Nice catch, and then knocked out of the hands of Mark Ruddy. But out of bounds she goes, and they'll bring it back in at the 17 for St. Ignatius.
Again, the St. Ignatius returners are very well schooled. They're going to try whatever way they can to not let that ball bounce on the AstroTurf. They put 3 of their best returners back there. I'm sure they're under orders to not let that ball roll down inside the 10.
Steve Clowney's teams have won 13 of every 15 games in his 8 years at Moeller. 1 national championship. Clowney's 43 years old. He says, nope, I'm happy here. He said it'd take a tremendous offer for me to go college. Away from 1 defenseman at the line of scrimmage, and then pushing out from the 17 to about the 18 for only a gain of 1 is Tim Kennedy, and it will be 2nd and 9.
If anyone would have told Chuck Kyle that he had 56 yards rushing, with 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, he'd want to know what happened. Well, what's happened is that Moeller has committed so many people to the run that the running game just isn't there no matter how well you block. They're going to have to throw the ball, at least at this stage of the game.
2nd and 9. Defensive territory, St. Ignatius, which in the 3rd quarter tied this game at 21. Wild pass over the center and over the defenseman's and receiver's head. The target was Ruddy, and it will be now 3rd and 9. Let's go down to the sidelines quickly to Randy Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chuck. The injury to Trent Zenkowitz was nothing more than spraining the knuckles on his left hand. They have been taped up, and he's ready for action again. Chuck?
Spreading the knuckles?
Spraining the knuckles.
Spraining.
Hey, they all hurt.
What kind of torture is taking place out on that field? Thank you. Big play. 3rd and 9. Pickens has thrown a bundle today. He's going to try to get his line down. Oh, he has his man wide open at the 30 and fighting out to the 35, and the length of a football beyond it is John Jakin, his big tight end.
Chuck, some of the little intricacies of a passing attack, as varied as Ignatius has, is when those inside linebackers stunt and blitz like they did on that play, the tight end, Jakin, will look inside, and the quarterback is responsible to hit him if that area is vacated. That's what happened that time. Wide open. Nobody had him covered.
Now we see still another passing record fall. 1st and 10. Play. Nicely done. Fitzpatrick 40, 45, and he falls on midfield. Quick gain of 14 yards.
First time we've seen that play, I think, and it's been set up by the passing game. Fitzpatrick finally got some room to run, and this guy can really take it. He's been the heart and soul of this football team all year, and usually picks up a lot of yards late in the game.
And Gary, it's a good play to call against a very quick pursuit defense because you get them to overreact one way and you counter back to the right.
That's the idea, and you kind of hope that you don't hit it right in the face sometimes with the pursuit coming right where you didn't think it would come when you called the throw.
From midfield, 1st and 10. Ignatius on the move, trying to break this tie, and Fitzpatrick on the move to the 45-40, and he is bulldogged out inside it. And I believe the 39, Ardell Barkley.
Well, the thought was going into the game by Coach Kyle that he would use the running game to set up the passing game, and he'd pound on him a little bit, but I think it's happened the other way around now. The passing game has set up the running game, and it looks like Ignatius has finally found a couple plays they can dial and have some success. Pickens still limping on that ankle, and that has to be a factor yet to be determined in this game too. Is it full? Is it healthy? I'm sure hasn't hurt his stats.
Yeah, he's only passed for 256. Length of the football, and inside the 40, another first down play. And this time, the defense is ready to roll over Peter Fitzpatrick.
You can really notice it in the ball handling. Pickens does really have to work just to get the handoff to Fitzpatrick on that play. It has to be bothering him. I don't know how it affects his drop on his passes, but as you say, he's thrown for 250 yards. He can't be hurting him too bad.
The reason you don't see headsets on the head of Chuck Kyle is because he says he wants to be free to roam the sidelines, talk to whatever unit on the sidelines he wishes. So he is not plugged in with anyone in the press box. Said he tried that just a couple years ago and likes it. There's a counter to the other direction. And over the right side, it doesn't work for Fitzpatrick. After a gain on the prior play of just 1, he gets a couple feet more. Call it now 3rd and 8, tackled by Jeff Craven.
That's as we talked about that counter. It works, but if you catch it right into the blitz the wrong way, the play just can't work. There's too many people there. 3rd and 10 situation right now. Ignatius, this is what they're made for. They've got the best quarterback in the country. Let's see if they can pick up the first down right now.
Yep, they have spotted it back at the 39, sitting his knees touched. So it is 3rd and 10. Ball is at the 39 of Moeller. Pickens, quick fake just to hold the linebackers, rolling right. He had a man open long, but down he goes, back at the 48. He needed to plant his foot so he could unwind long, but Brian Zelina was atop him in a hurry.
Very good coverage that time. Pickens had both his 2 primary players covered. This is the same play that they hit for the touchdown earlier, the crossing route by the left split end, and the right guy going deep to the post, and Pickens just did not have time to get it off that time. Zelina came in and busted up the play. Joe is not going to get out of the pocket and cause too many problems for this quick Moeller defense.
He sensed that he wanted to throw and maybe put it up for grabs and hope. This is friend punting.
Down.
Yep, they're going to call him down at the 17. Ardell Barkley dropped the knee. So, with a minute 48 left in the 3rd, the game remains tied at 21 as the Moeller defense holds.
Well, the longer this game goes on, Chuck, the better Moeller feels about it. You know, they'll take an overtime. They feel they're the underdogs. Anything can happen in overtime. Ignatius is going to start to feel the pressure of being the favorite in this ball game.
Both teams are heavily laden with senior starters. We're talking about veteran programs where you earn your rite of passage into the starting lineup. Heisdu has him loaded up on the right side, but he misses his man at the 25. There were 3 wide receivers, all reasonably close to each other. That particular target was Mike Bierman, 2nd and 10.
Good defense by the Ignatius. Ignatius in the zone that time. They all slid to the 3 receiver side and crowded up those alleys and didn't let Adam Heisdu have much of an alley to throw into.
Number 9 is Heisdu. As a freshman, he was undefeated in wrestling. In springtime, he, as we mentioned, is one of the top baseball prospects in the nation. Last fall and part of this fall, he was also the place kicker. Here he hits his man out at the 25, cut down right away is Joe Curran.
That's the play again. They split the 3 wide receivers to the wide side of the field and are coming back and having success throwing to that tight end to the short side. Heisdu under a little bit of pressure right here, makes a good throw, throwing off his back foot, as you can see, and puts the ball right on the mark. Good throw.
It gains 8, sets up 3rd and 2 from Moeller's own 25.
I wonder if we'll see the option here. It's been successful for him before. No, it doesn't look like it.
Heisdu runs a smart option, doesn't he? In motion is Asprock. He is the only one to the left. Quick handoff, and nope. Jody Smith is nailed. And Moeller is going to have to punt, and the Ignatius defense comes out of the pile with fists clenched.
One of the reasons I thought they might go options, and I don't know if they're big enough to pound it inside against that Ignatius team that seems to be a little more in tune to the game now up front and are coming after Heisdu. They need to get the ball outside and take advantage of Heisdu's smarts.
Ruddy and Fitzpatrick are back to take the punt of Burwinkle. Low one at the 50. It is Fitzpatrick. He's got a blocker ahead of him at the 30, 25, 20, and runs out of room. And a flag flies after the back, might have a late hit. He apparently stepped out of bounds, and the officials, I think, are going to mark it initially at the 19, but let's see.
I think it's against Ignatius, maybe pushing from behind or something. tripping
it's
or
going to be a
clipping.
clip.
Yeah,
Yep.
it looked like it was against Ignatius on the return. Tough call, way at the end of the play right there. Looked to me like one of the Moeller players turned his back on the play. Kind of a tough call to make. I'm sure Coach Kyle doesn't agree with it, but I'm sure on the other side of the field, it's a pretty popular call.
Well, you're looking at least the backside of the reigning Division I Coach of the Year, who just might repeat. He's undefeated this year.
Well, Peter Fitzpatrick has been their go-to guy in the fourth quarters of these games. And I look for Fitzpatrick to have a real big impact late in the game. I don't know if we have a replay of it or not, but...
Two penalties on one team and only one on the other. Well, that is how you hope the championship games will be played. It is at the 34 with that 15-yard penalty. First and 10 for Ignatius. We're down to the final play, in all likelihood, of the third quarter. A tie game that's going to go down to the wire, and there goes Fitzpatrick for only about 2. And that will close the third. It'll be 2nd and 8 when we return for the fourth period. We're in the Horseshoe in Ohio Stadium. Enormous crowd watching the Division I high school championship on a glorious autumn afternoon.
High school football. Every kid that ever played in a game had the dream of becoming a professional. Some continue to chase that dream, but for most, high school is the big league, where scoring the winning touchdown becomes the memory of a lifetime. Experience the pageantry and excitement as Sports Channel presents the State High School Football Championships. Watch as these kids put the pride of their schools on the line. See exclusive coverage of Division II Finals, Monday, November 27th at 6, only on Sports Channel. Coming off their best season in NBA history, the Cleveland Cavs are in the spotlight, and Sports Channel's got them. From opening night tip-off, Sports Channel brings you 35 home and away games, plus the playoffs. Watch Lenny Wilkins and the Cavs as they match up with some of the toughest competition in the NBA. Wednesday, November 29th, the Cavs take on the Philadelphia 76ers, live at 7:30 on Sports Channel. Cleveland Crunch returns the Major Indoor Soccer League to Ohio, and Sports Channel has all the action. From opening kickoff to the final shot on goal, Sports Channel brings you the explosive play of forward head coach Kai Hoskeby, along with MISL veterans Dennis Mepham, Bernie James, Mike Sweeney, Benny Doggle, Hector Marinaro, Charlie Green, and the #1 college draft pick Simon Keith. Hear the roar of the crowd as the Cleveland Crunch take the field. Friday, December 1st, the Baltimore Blast take on the Crunch, live at 8 on Sports Channel.
This is the brain activity of a normal 14-year-old. This is the brain activity of a 14-year-old after smoking marijuana. If you use pot, you're not using your brain.
With Gary Danielson, this is Chuck Underwood from Ohio Stadium in Columbus, where we begin the final quarter of the final game of the Ohio high school football season. The #1 ranked team in the nation, St. Ignatius, has had hands full today, and with 12 minutes remaining, enjoys a 21-21 tie with Cincinnati Moeller. At halftime, it was 21-14 Moeller. The only score in the third was that of Ignatius.
Well, Ignatius is into this football game. They got good field position right now and have an opportunity to break the game open a little bit where they can have control of the game defensively. The longer Moeller can stay in this game, even up, the better they like their chances of maybe going into an overtime and stealing the state championship to a very powerful football team.
Ignatius has it down at the 32 of Moeller, 2nd and 8. We have had passing records fall rapidly throughout this game. And credit not only the receivers and the quarterbacks, but also the offensive lines, which have done a pretty good job of protecting their quarterbacks and allowing them the time today.
Well, both offenses have stalled a little bit here, and especially Moeller has not had the success in the second half that they had in the first half. I think Ignatius has found some things to hang their hat on, so to speak, and they're going with it, and it seems to be they're tackling much better.
Friend is wide to the left, Ruddy to the right. Spear and Fitzpatrick are split behind Joe Pickens, the state's top quarterback this year. And he finds his open man, Pat Friend at the 25, 20, and down inside it to about the 23. It will be by a couple of yards, a first down for Ignatius. Tackle by Pat Holt, defensive tackle.
That's where the opening is in this zone. The outside receiver, Pat Friend, that time delayed, let the zone drop, and came underneath it. Pickens stayed with the play, looked to the right, but he knew he was going back left to a delaying receiver coming across inside that zone, and then he turns it up and gets those positive yards.
19-yard pass play. Center of the field, and Ignatius on the attack. They're undefeated. Moeller has lost twice. Pickens got him. Going to go for the alley-oop in the corner, and he hits his man, and out of bounds, just inches from the goal line, is John Jacob.
What a touch. I mean, a lot of high school quarterbacks can throw the ball on a rope and do all the things that are necessary to look good in practice and warm-ups. But right here, Pickens has the slant by the outside receiver, the inside receiver running a flatten up, and he lays it to the open field and lets his receiver run underneath it. And Jacob, boy, he looks like he got in right there. You wonder if we had the instant replay where he would have happened, but I'm sure Joe Pickens and Chuck Pyle will take it right there. Gorgeous play.
Inches away, first down. Fitzpatrick, Spear, and Kennedy are the three backs. Spear is the up man in the wishbone. He'll need the blocking. A bobbled snap, trouble, but in is Spear on the quick handoff. It appeared that Pickens might have lost the grip or had a shaky handoff.
Well, that was almost disaster. Your first and goal from the 2-inch line and almost bobbled the snap. And it was a very dangerous handoff. That could have gone to anybody.
There is Spear, who has not carried the ball much at all this year. In fact, he came into this game having handled it only once. And it could be that Pickens, Gary, knowing he was going to be handing off to that up back who was only a yard behind him, was trying to make up time quickly.
Trying to rush it just a little bit. It didn't seem like he had it. That was very fortunate to get that handoff. If anybody would have been there, that ball would have been fumbled.
So Ignatius regains the lead, and with the point after by Hearns, it is a spread of 7. 11:25 left in the final quarter. Big stakes between two cities and two schools of such extraordinary football excellence. We'll be back.
Turn on Sports Channel any night of the week for exciting sports action.
It's over center. The pass to Chelios picked off. Gilmore coming in on Bois. He scores!
Witness excitement on ice with more than 50 NHL regular season games, plus unprecedented coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's a race, and Ismail is gone! Touchdown, Notre Dame!
Follow the Notre Dame tradition with a full slate of Fighting Irish sports, featuring top-ranked football and basketball. Climb into the ring every week with the Sports Channel Pro Boxing Tour. It's a knockout. Tune in to Sports Nightly for up-to-the-minute scores, highlights, and news before and after every event. And there's more, including the National Federation High School Game of the Week, daily thoroughbred racing, the Boston Marathon, professional tennis, top college basketball action, and international amateur events. Turn on Sports Channel for exciting sports.
St. Ignatius, which trailed by 7 at halftime, now in this second half has scored 14 unanswered points to take a 7-point lead. The last drive, 66 yards in only 40 seconds, 4 plays, and it was Spear taking it in for the final 2 inches to give St. Ignatius a 28-21 lead, 11:25 left in the game.
I had to laugh a little bit. I watched Joe Pickens go to the sideline. He went right after his center, trying to talk to him and figure out where that snap was and why it was late. So you know Joe Pickens is not just worried about the last touchdown, but thinking about the next time they get the ball and see what the problem was.
Tony Walker returning the kick and bumped out of bounds at the 23. On comes the Moeller offense, and let's go downstairs to Randy Reiner.
Well, you know, Chuck, St. Ignatius is an all-male school, so here are their lovely cheerleaders, guys. Your team just scored a touchdown.
Victory, victory is our cry. V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. Go Ignatius! Yeah!
Go, Chuck. Take it away.
Moeller, on the other hand, gets its cheerleaders from a nearby all-girls school in Cincinnati. Adam Heistu needs to rally his underdog, Moeller Crusaders, and off balance He throws incomplete at the 28. Diving attempt by Mike Bierman, who had Tim Kennedy on his back. 2nd and 10.
Well, a lot of times people and the casual fans wonder how can a quarterback be so sharp in the first half and have trouble completing passes in the second. Take a look at that rush that the Ignatius front seven is providing right now, and you'll find Heisdu's throwing off his back foot. Very few quarterbacks are going to complete more than half of their passes with that type of rush. Moeller, front five, is going to have to provide Adam a little bit more time to throw the ball if they're going to put any more points on the board.
Clock moving. Ignatius fans across the way cheering defense, defense. Heisdu's looking at that defense. Has to scramble out of trouble. A wild pass that works. And what a fandango he had to do with his body to make the twist and rolling left throw back to his right. Valerius falls down at the 36, and it's going to be enough for a first down.
Well, Adam showed great presence right there. The average quarterback would try to, first time he senses something going wrong in the pocket, would tuck it up and start the run. He kept his wits about him and threw across his body. Great play to pick up the first down.
12-yard gain. Moeller on the move. Will the breeding and the instinct of 7 state championships get them back into this one? Heisdu again has to scramble. Looking long, throwing as long as he can, but it is almost picked off down at the 30. The intended receiver was Matt Burrell. It goes off the chest of number 14, Tom Stringer.
Tom will look at the highlights of that one and be upset with himself for the next 6 months. Right in his stomach. He had the perfect coverage. Heisdu again rushed out of the pocket, and it's tough to throw this ball 50 yards down the field off your back foot like that, running sideways, and he has it. This is an interception.
Ouch. Those hurt, don't they?
Those are the type of plays that won't mean much unless something happens on this play, and then you come back to haunt you.
2nd and 10 for Moeller from its own 36. Burrell is out wide to the right. He has single coverage, but back to the left it comes, and too many people in the wrong spot. It is incomplete as Paul Berry, an offensive tackle, collides with his own teammate, and in the middle of those two was defenseman Matt Cooney.
Yeah, Matt Cooney almost got his 2nd interception of the year. He smelled out that screen pass, and Cooney read it just perfectly. This guy, very heads-up play that time. He's been putting pressure all day on the quarterback, but this time he sensed the screen and got in the middle of it.
10.5 minutes left in the game. Moeller trailing by 7. Has backs to the wall now with the 3rd and 10. 2 wide receivers to the right. That's where Heisdu is looking, and he's going to gun for the longest of the 2. Nice catch out at the 45 by Chris Asbrock, his number 1 receiver.
Great play. He had time to throw the ball. This time a little variation off the pass they've been throwing. The outside receiver of the 2 curled in, and the inside receiver ran like a flag route to the sideline. Heisdu stuck with it and made the play, and very nice catch.
21 yards, which is Asbrock's average this year. The chains go forward, and from the 45 now of Ignatius. Moeller trying to close. Remember, there will be, in the case of a tiebreaker, we go or rather overtime here if need be. Complete inside the 40 to Asbrock again. Forward momentum to the 39. That will be a gain of 6, and it will set up 2nd and 4. The tackle by Ruddy with help from Kennedy.
I get a chuckle out of these coaches. You talk to both of them before the game, and they talk about their running game and how they want to keep it close. And we've got 2 quarterbacks that are going to be throwing here for over 280 yards here in another couple minutes. Heisdu has 279 at this point. Pickett's 288. Not much ground game.
Low scoring, the coaches both proclaimed before the contest. Burrell is in motion from far left to far right. He's run 50 yards before the play begins, and he was going to be the target, but Heisdu is chased out of it. Looking long, has a man in the end zone. 2, 3, 4 go up, and it is tipped and incomplete. Mike Bierman was one of the receivers. One of the defensemen was Tim Kennedy. Everybody long, and the floater gave defenseman time to get under it.
Well, it's not who they wanted to throw the ball again, but the improvisation by Heisdu. As he started to scramble, he kept his eyes downfield. Once you get your eyes looking to the defensive rush, it's very tough to get it downfield again. He keeps, as he scrambles, his eyes peeled downfield, finds someone, and almost pulls off a big play.
Just minutes ago, go. Moeller's got itself out of a 3rd and 9. Now it's 3rd and 4 from the 39 of Ignatius. They're going to try and get the 4 through the air. Good defense and almost picked off on a tip. The target was Valerius. Ruddy is the one who hit him. 9:12 left. Do you go for it, Gary?
Well, what I don't do, and sometimes what bothers you, is I don't call timeout. Those timeouts are too valuable late in the game. I make a decision before the play on 3rd down that if it's incomplete, what I'm going to do. Right now, they usually burn a very valuable timeout, and when you're behind by 7 points, those timeouts are just too much to give up. So 4th down, I would have had an idea what I was going to do before the 3rd down play. I think they need to punt the ball. To ask Pickens to throw the ball, the Ignatius team probably won't want to throw deep in their own zone and try to stop them. A 4th down plays at midfield like this gives the Ignatius offense just too much room. Kind of puts your whole game into one play here. I'd rather punt the ball.
Steve Clowney, when he is not in the television spotlight in football, he's back at Moeller teaching typing and consumer economics. On the other sideline, Gary, Chuck Kyle teaches sophomores at St. Ignatius the English language, and he teaches seniors the writings of Chaucer and Shakespeare.
Well, Coach Clowney has a lot of confidence in Adam Heizu, and he's going to put the game on his shoulders right now. 9:12 to go.
Perhaps the play of the game thus far. 9:12 left in the game. Moeller needs 7 points, and more urgently it needs 4 yards. It is 4th and 4 from the 39 of Ignatius. Adam Heistu has had a wondrous game passing, and he's going to try to get the 4 by throwing, and it is overthrown and picked off at the 30, and out to the 36 is Tom Stringer. Nice job by the Ignatius defense. It was a poor pass by Heistu.
Well, the Ignatius defense actually made a mistake. The man who went in motion, nobody covered. A proper throw would have had the 1st down. Yep. Very well conceived play by Coach Clowney. It just wasn't executed well enough. I don't know what the Ignatius defense was doing. They were in man-to-man, and one of the key receivers went in motion, and no one followed him.
Looked like they were playing it soft and giving that short pass, but you're right, they were not close enough. So turnover on downs. And now the goal becomes ball possession. 8 minutes, 45 seconds left. Ignatius with the pumpkin and a 7-point lead. And here's the counter play, and Fitzpatrick finds a bit of room. Gets from the 36 out to the 41. 5 more for Fitzpatrick. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Well, Chuck Kyle right now would love to be able to run this ball and win this game with his offense on the field. Ball control is done in 2 ways. When you have a great quarterback like Joe Pickens, part of ball control is passing the ball. If they're able to run it, they won't put it in the air, but let's see if they have to throw the ball.
Chuck Kyle, graduate of John Carroll University, which used to be coupled with Ignatius High School. Used to be a single entity. High backfield for Pickens, and nice defense. Dropped hard in the backfield by Brian Zelina is Fitzpatrick.
That's the problem. You're facing that 8-man front all day, and when they stunt one of those linebackers in, there's just not enough people to pick it up. Ball control can still be accomplished. You get one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You just got to put it on his shoulders and say, Joe, this is your state championship. It is a 1st down here.
Loss of a short 3. It is 3rd and 9, so perhaps the Moeller defense is going to be able to deliver the ball right back to its offense. Now the heat is on Pickens. One wide receiver each way. Full blitz by the defense. And is it going to work? It is, and it's going to work big. Pat Holt, defensive tackle, drops Joe Pickens.
They had the screen pass called, the same play, and actually the same exact result when they got the roughing the passer backed up in the 3rd quarter that they had. The blitz, they just don't have time to set up that play, and Pickens had no choice but to just eat the ball. That's why I was in favor of punting the ball. They could have had this happen back on the 15 or 10-yard line, but it looks like Moeller's still going to get the ball back in good field position, so it worked out okay for Coach Clowney.
Very good field position, you would think. Pat Friend must punt. He'll get it off at about the 5. Back deep are Chris Woike and Ardell Barkley. Off the side of his foot to the right, bouncing at right around the 40. And this time, no lucky bounce in a game that has seen the punters get nothing but good bounces. They will spot it at the 41 of Ignatius.
Well, Moeller, Coach coaches and players have to feel great. They only lost about 3 minutes. They got the ball basically at the same spot that they gave it up. There was an interception in between, and Moeller has a chance to tie this football game back up. You got to consider this now 4-down territory.
3 wide receivers all to the right. Single setback is Jody Smith. Heisdu is going to option with him and pitch to him. Look at the Ignatius defense. Back at the 44, it'll be a loss of 3, second and 13.
Ignatius has definitely changed their personality in the second half. They're playing man-to-man coverage. They're crowding the receivers, and they're doing some blitzing. That time they had an all-out blitz on, destroyed the option from inside out, and we're running down the play from the beginning. This is just a different Ignatius defense we've seen.
First hit by Mike Sadanik, and then help from Trent Zenkowitz. Just inside the 45. Moeller needs 14 yards on this second down play.
Man-to-man again.
Yep, on 3 wide receivers to the left. Heisdu looking there. Has his man who is pushed back to the 40, but credit will be given to, I believe, the 36.
And Heisdu passes to Matt Burrell.
Caught by Matt Burrell, coverage by Tom Stringer.
Very nicely thrown ball, a little bit short. I'm sure they would like to pick up another 3 or 4 yards on that pass. The receiver ran it just a little bit short, probably his designated area. I'm sure they would have had to had it 3rd and 2, but they'll take it. They got 2 downs.
Yep. 3rd down now and 4. Matt Burrell, by the way, you might expect to see him as the target quite a bit. 32 receptions coming into this game, the leading receiver. A fake and a rollout. Everybody's going deep and incomplete to the short man at the 27, Chris Asbrock. And here we go again, Gary, another one of those 4th and 4 situations. Coverage by Tim Kennedy, by the way.
Right. Coach Clowney's jumping up and down on the sideline there. You can't throw the ball any better than that. It would have taken a great catch. There was good coverage on the play. But as a quarterback, you know, when you put a ball on that type of a throw, you expect those guys to grab those. Big play and followed by another one. Last time on 4th down, they blitzed. Let's see if it happens again on 4th down.
And what options do you have offensively on this call? What are your thoughts?
I think you got to roll them out of the pocket a little bit. You got a quarterback that can run or pass. Let's get him out of there. I expect the blitz to come.
Let's see. Motion to the right, which loads up that side. Yep, here comes the blitz from the opposite side. So they throw the right direction, but it goes through Burrell's hands at the 30. He was wide open.
Well, you just can't blame the coaching staff. They've devised 2 beautiful 4th down plays right here, and they just haven't been executed successfully enough. Both were open. Both could have picked up the 1st down. 4:55 to go. The only trouble right now is the Crusaders only have 2 timeouts now.
And they trail 28-21. St. Ignatius trying to defend its state championship. The last team to do that in 1980 was the team they're facing today, Cincinnati Moeller.
I'm sure Ignatius right now is thinking 1 first down and we have ourselves a state championship.
At the 35 of Ignatius. Will the defense come hard? We'll watch the linebackers. One comes and runs right by Tim Kennedy, which is why he's open at midfield, 45-40, and cut out of bounds all the way down at the 34 of Moeller by Tony Walker.
Well, Tim Kennedy's had just a fantastic football game here today. He gets the ball and has the ability to make a 5-yard gain turn into a 20-yard gain here. This is just power pitch. Both backs, they run right through a blitz. And once it gets out there, there's no linebackers that can cut off the angle, and Kennedy has the speed to make it into a big play.
31 yards worth of big play and 46 for the day. Clock moving at 4:47 of the 4th quarter. We're in Columbus, 28-21. Ignatius with the ball and the lead. And Fitzpatrick will just drop his head and bulldoze to about the length of a football outside the 30. It'll be a gain of, call it a long 3, 2nd and 7.
Well, you're not going to see much more explosive play calling than that. If you look on the scoreboard right now, 28-21. Both teams have passed for 288 yards. Both teams have gained over 350 yards in total offense. Ignatius, though, has the ball in the lead and maybe the state title.
And heading into the closed end of this horseshoe. Fitzpatrick again behind pretty good blocking. Nice surge and another chunk that will bring them down to the 26 and be about 2 yards short of a 1st down, and this will be 3rd coming up.
Well, I believe right here Ignatius will run the ball 2 more times if they have to pick up this first down. I don't even think they'll try a field goal. They won't risk it being blocked. Right. I think they're just going to try to plow it out. If they don't pick it up here, they're going to pick it up hopefully on 4th down. That's the way they're going.
Between the 26 and the 27, 3rd and a long 2. There's that wishbone again. The up back is Brian Spear, but he'll block this time for Fitzpatrick. First down to the 20. 7 yards. Nice blocking by the right side. That means center Casey Baker, the guard Juan Porter, and tackle Trent Zenkowitz.
At this point in the game, this is where these 50-pound advantage that the Ignatius offensive line is starting to show. They've got all 11-man, tight formations. They're just playing power football. And right now, all the stunt you want is not going to help because there's just not enough time left in the football game.
With Joe Pickens quarterbacking this team 1 year ago, they finished 5th in the USA Today national poll. They started this season ranked 3rd and became #1 just 2 weeks ago. And they're 3-0-2 away from probably holding it, and a flag flies, perhaps delay.
Delay a game, yes. Well, the high school game doesn't have the benefit of having the clock on the sideline for the quarterback to see and judge that 25-second clock, so you just have to get a feel for it. And late in the game, the referees will count it a little more strictly than they will maybe in the 2nd or 3rd quarter.
St. Ignatius coach Chuck Kyle said, we began this season actually last March. That's when our fans started walking up to our young kids saying we've already made hotel reservations in Columbus. He said the defense is the unit that really surprised him because it's so young. He said we knew our offense would do the job this year. It has been the ability, he said, of our defensive unit to take them 1 game at a time and to handle the pressure that has us here in the horseshoe today.
Chuck Kyle's going crazy. The clock is not running down. The official clock is still on 3:01, and he wants to know why. Who stopped the clock?
Peter Fitzpatrick had carried the ball. He was hit by Pat Holt after gaining 2 yards.
Chuck Kyle has a way of getting himself hurt, I think, on the sideline.
That may be another reason he doesn't wear the headsets. It can get him down to the 20-yard line in this case.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't run 10 seconds off this clock right now.
Well, you're right. They've punched it down now to 2:53. It had been at 3:01. After that 5-yard delay of game penalty, it had been 1st and 15. It is now 2nd and 13 for Ignatius. But again, ball possession is the order of the moment. Well, he won his argument.
Yeah, they will have to run some time off the clock. They'll check and see when the play started the play before and try to figure out how much to run off it. Well, here's where Cincinnati Moeller, though, would like to be using one of their 3 timeouts at this point. But since they only have 2, they're going to have to wait until after the 2nd down play.
Yeah, after this one. Clock now is pushed down to 2:47.
That looks about right. And then they'll start it and let it run and give them 20 seconds to snap it, too.
Well, Ignatius appears ready. And, yep, there it goes. Clock moving once again. 2:40 left. The Moeller defense needs the football. Is this celebrated program capable of just one more miracle, if you please, their fans say. Back to throw. Pickens lobbing it high, but his man is wide open. Touchdown, John Jacob. And that should do it.
Well, that's going for the throat. And Pickens was very fortunate to get that pass off. Jacob was obviously wide open. The defense is not going to even cover anybody in that situation. They're just trying to get the ball back. Obviously, that wins the state championship for him. A gutsy call. You have to give him credit. Because anything could have happened. Pickens could have get blindsided and fumbled that ball. He believes in his players. He's got some thoroughbreds. He's riding them.
14-0 last year, and they can finish now 13-0 with their 2nd consecutive Big School championship. And that will be Ignatius' pronouncement that it has arrived not just as a one-year wonder, despite the fact that the kick misses, but instead as a legitimate power to be reckoned with year in and year out. 2:24 remaining in the game here in Columbus. Ignatius has now opened it up 34-21. It leaves Cincinnati Moeller.
Knowing that he's got Jacobs going to the far corner across the formation, no one's even coming close to guarding him. They're just thinking trying to get the ball back. That's a touchdown all the way. All you're going to do there is just throw the ball up, and a punt, a fair catch would have scored there. And that was an easy one. You could have caught that one.